Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ruhala, and I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. In this video, I will walk you through filling out the form IMM 1294, which is used for study permit application step by step. This is how the form looks like. Make sure that it is up to date. You see, if you look at down here, it says the date. It says the date it was released. You see, it is the October 2024, and that is the most recent version right now. But the way you know it's most recent is that you downloaded from within your GC key. So you make a GC key, you answer the initial questions, and you get to a checklist. And from there, which is a checklist is specified for you. You download the form. Okay, when you start filling out the form, the first thing is UCI, unique client ID. If you have previously applied for a visa or permit, then you have a UCI. If don't, just leave it blank. You probably, if you have never applied for anything for Canada, so you don't have a UCI, then you just leave it blank. And then you say you choose your language. Here we just choose English, and then you fill out your last name here, and then your first name. And then if you have previously used another name, if you've changed your name, you put it here, you say yes, and you put in the details of your previous names. But if no, you just hit no, and then you keep going. You choose your gender, and then date of birth, and then place of birth, and then country or territory that you were born. So up to here, it's pretty straightforward. And then you put in your citizenship. Then we go to the current country or territory of residence. This is where you currently live right now. If you live in your country of citizenship, then that would be the same as your country of citizenship. If not, you just put in like the country you live in. And then what your status is in that country. If you are residing in the country from which you hold a passport, you will be the citizen. Then if not, you live elsewhere. You choose this this part is very important. You have to choose this accurately. Okay. And then when you get to when you, for example, choose worker, okay, and then you choose a country. Here you have to put in a date, and that is the date that corresponds to your work permit. If you are a worker in a country, then you probably have a work permit or study permit. This is what you have to put in, okay? How long your work permit will be valid. If you put in, let's say, you can do it before. You see, for example, I can do it a date before now, but I can do it a day afterwards, like say until October. And okay, make sure that your residency does not expire very soon. If you're in a third country and you're applying for a study permit, say, and your residency expires very soon, this is sort of a red flag. Make sure to extend your residency permit, whatever it is, no matter where you are, and then apply for a study permit. This will give you a better chance. And then you put in the previous countries or territory of residence. If you've lived elsewhere, if you haven't lived elsewhere, you see, it says during the past 5 years, have you lived in any country or territory other than your country of citizenship or your country or territory of residence, which we have already mentioned. Then we say for more than 6 months. Then if yes, you say yes, you put in all the details again, your status, how long you live there, all the details. If no, you just say no. Okay. And then you country or territory where you're applying. If you're living in the country, if you're applying from the country that you currently live, then you say yes. If no, you just say no. You just say yes here. And then you choose your marital status, whatever it is. Unknown is kind of weird, but let's say single. And then if you choose anything but single, like divorced or married, then it asks you for the detailed information of your spouse. And then we move into, have you previously been married? If you have previously, if for example, you say married here, but previously before that, if you've been married and you say yes, then it asks you for the details of your previous spouse. And then you choose your mother tongue, and then you can say if you would like to be contacted in English or French, or you're comfortable with both. You can say like maybe English here, and then if you choose both, then they ask you in which language you're most at ease, so that they can correspond with you according to that. But have you taken a test from designated learning institution? If you have taken a test like IELTS, you say yes. If not, you say no. So say we have, and then we say yes. Okay, here or passport information. You put in your passport number, country of territory, residency, then the expiration date or issue date, or and like say if you will use a passport from Taiwan here, say no. Use a national Israeli passport, say no. Okay. Do you have a national identity document? And this is corresponds to any sort of identity document that you have from your country of mostly citizenship. And then you say yes, and you put in details of your that national ID document. And then if you have a US permanent residency card or a green card, then you put in the details here. Now the contact information, also you put in your contact information, the number you live in, the street name, the city. This street number is actually like in a lot of countries it's the house number. You say like, I don't know, like 50 Avenue do something. So that 50 is actually the street number. That's how it's called in Canada. But it's not the number of the street, it's the number of that house or apartment building in that street. It's kind of bizarre, but that's how it is. And then a street name and the city, town, and all the details. And then you say, is your mailing address the same? Most of the time it is. If not, you put in all that detail as well. And then you telephone number, alternative telephone number, fax number, email address. You fill in email address is important here, but you can put in all those information that you have. If you don't have a fax, that's probably fine. And then now this is a little more important. It's a name of the school you want to attend, the level of the program you would like to attend. Say we would like to attend a master's degree at, say, the University of Ottawa. Okay, let's just say University of Ottawa. And then field of study. This is quite easy to choose, but like say we would like to pursue an engineering program. That would be in applied science. Okay. And then we hit in province. For our specific example, that would be Ontario, and the city would be Ottawa. And then we put in the address that corresponds with what the university has, what the university address is that you can find in Google simply. And then your designated learning institution number. This is something that you can find in your admission letter, and your student ID. This is something also you can find in your admission letter. Duration of expected study. Also, this is something that you usually find your admission letter. And then tuition, what the annual tuition is, and then room and board and other. Okay, there is something here. The cost of your studies will be, this is something that we are not 100% sure about, is if it is asking about an annual cost or is it asking about the total cost of your entire studies. This is the old format of applying for a study permit. There's also a new format that you can do online. In that application, it specifically mentions for your entire program. So there, if you're filling out, you should put in the entire program. But this, historically, what we've been doing is just to put annual tuition fee, annual room and board, and annual other costs that we might have. And room and board and other, the total of this would probably be a minimum cost that you probably have in terms of living costs in that specific city. So this must correspond, the total of these two cells must correspond with the minimum proof of funds that you have to provide to IRCC per year. And then funds available for your stay, how much money you have. And this includes the financial support you get from the university. If you have some financial support from the university and you have some money from yourself, you want to add it, you add it together and put here. Then my expenses in Canada will be paid by myself, parents, other. If you're supported by university, you can put other and then say University of Ottawa, for example. If you're supported by yourself, your parents, if it's a mix of it, you can say like other, but myself and my parents. That's also possible. And then if you're here, you probably have taken your provincial attestation letter. You have received your provincial attestation letter. If not, you have to communicate with the university to get your provincial attestation letter. That has a document number and that has an expiration date. You put all that information as well here. And bear in mind, if you have been refused once and then you're applying again, no matter what the expiration date of the provincial attestation letter is, you have to get a new provincial attestation letter from the university. You reach out to the university and ask for a new one. And if you've been issued a Quebec acceptance certificate, if your school's in Quebec, then here you go with the CAQ. You have to do the CAQ with the Quebec. And then you put in your previous education here, details of your previous education, and then details of your employment. What's very important here, and a lot of people don't take this as serious as it is that you have to be very accurate and detailed here in filling out this form. Because this form is not only for your study permit application, will not only be considered for a study permit application, but will also be considered for your subsequent applications later for permanent residency, say. And if you say here that you have if you don't mention some of your employment, and then for your permanent residency, you remember, I forgot to put in a part of my employment that now can give me a lot of points, then that might make you some problem. If you have not already disclosed all your employment information here and then later decide to do that, that might be a problem. So make sure that you list everything. If there's not enough room here, then you have a client information. You can just make this table there and then do an entire form. Like, this is the rest of my employment section of, you add this to your cover letter. This is the rest of the employment section of IMM 1294, and then you have a full list over there. So you make sure that you do that, even if these three sections that they have provided you here is not enough. And then you read all these questions, and then you answer these truthfully and accurately. Like, these are usually about, like, these ones are about like healthcare. If you have like healthcare issues, any sort of healthcare issues, you can just read this very detailed and you answer. And then there's this like something about, like, if you have remained beyond your validation or your status in Canada, or if you have been refused a visa or permit. This is something very serious. If you have ever been refused a visa or permit, denied entry or order to leave in Canada, to Canada or any other country or territory. This is huge. If you have any like U.S. refusal, Schengen refusal, any sort of that, you have to disclose this here. And this is quite problematic a lot of times when people do not disclose their prior refusals, because if you do say, yeah, I 2 years ago applied for a F1 visa and it was refused under I don't know, the 214, it's fine, it's okay. A lot of times this wouldn't make you any trouble. You can still get a study permit to come to Canada even if you have refusals elsewhere. But most of the time, depends on like what those refusals were, but most of the time it's not a big deal. But what would be a big deal is to say, no, I haven't, while you have been previously refused. And this would make problem if you actually do not disclose this information here. The same thing here, you just answer if you've been charged. And then this is about military, and if you have done any sort of military service, you should say yes here. And then you just provide the details that you've been asked here. And then if you're a committed associated political party, and just read these questions carefully and answer truthfully. This is what matters. And at the end, you can just write your name and date of birth here. It doesn't need a specific signature. You can just leave it blank. That's still fine. And then this doesn't really affect whether your study permit will get approved, or it wouldn't affect the decisions that they make. If you want to be contacted, you can say yes. If no, just say no. And then validate. When you validate, it produces a barcode underneath, and it has to be validated. Right now, it won't validate because there's a lot of sections above that I didn't fill out. And now, what it does is just it makes them red for me to like let me know that you have to fill out those forms, those sections that are red. But if I've done everything correctly, then I can validate. All right, I hope this video is helpful to you. And we have a lot of more content, and we'll try to do this for all the forums. So subscribe to the channel and let us know what kind of videos which you would like us to prepare for you. Just a quick disclaimer that I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, but not your regulated Canadian immigration consultant. If you want specific information that is for you specifically and would help you with the process, your immigration process, you can look at the description and then you book a session with me, and we'll answer those questions specifically for you. I hope you have a great day.